Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I am Gino Buccola alongside David Aragona with producer Lucia helping us out for the Sunday race of the day. Before we get on over to Keeneland to preview this one, I want to let you know about the Off the Track podcast, a new Daily Racing Form interview series where we go beyond the past performances and the handicapping, interviews with jockeys, trainers, owners, and all of the folks kind of behind the scenes in horse racing, and you hear their stories and how they got to where they are in the industry. So check it out anywhere you get your podcast. You can subscribe on the YouTube channel. David, we get the chance to see the reigning horse of the year this weekend in the Spinster on Sunday, and you get the top older female Torpedo Anna versus the top 3-year-old filly Nitrogen right now. So it's kind of a fun matchup between those two to get to see where the 3-year-old fillies stack up when they face the older. I'm not quite sure how strong the division has been. We saw them, some of the 3-year-old fillies most recently in the Cotillion after the race to Nitrogen, and they didn't really frank her form all that much. So it'll be interesting to see how she stacks up against Anna.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about this race getting a small field, Gino, because this is the way it used to be in racing, where you'd get to see the top 3-year-old face off against the top older horse before the Breeders' Cup in one of these prep races like the Beldame or the Spinster. So this race feels like it's harkening back to the late 90s, early 2000s. Lately, in the past decade or so, you have to wait for the Breeders' Cup until these top horses in different divisions face off against each other. So nice to see Mark Cassian make a sporting decision to run Nitrogen in this race. And the same goes for Ken McPeak, who could have waited for the Breeders' Cup after winning the personal ends in the summer with Torpedo Anna. So interested to see how it plays out on the track between these two, as well as Scylla and Gingin, who are horses that have some credentials in their own right.
Yeah, they're capable of big efforts under the right circumstances. Let's see what the Timeform US Pace Projector thinks about this race. Remember, you can get free past performances for every race of the day on the website at DRF.com and just click on the Race of the Day section, and this will be that Sunday race of the day. Anything surprise you about the the Pace Projector here in this small field?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been surprised by any pace projector here, Gino, because I'm not exactly sure how this is going to be run through the early stages. I mean, the only horse that would shock me if she were on the lead is the number 1, Shield, who just doesn't seem to have the early speed to get there. Maybe Nitrogen being shown last on the pace projector is somewhat surprising because she is a horse that has run her better races when she's sitting in that stalking position. And she has come out of some races with slower paces on the dirt, particularly last time in the Alabama. So that's probably dragging down her pace figures a little bit, which are what drive this Timeform US pace projector. But I would imagine Jose Ortiz would not want her to be in this position last in a 5-horse field.
And we meet the field now for the Spinster. Juddmonte Spinster will go as race number 9 on Sunday. $650,000 up for grabs and grade 1 status here. David, of this field of 5, the other 4 horses besides Chilled wouldn't really be the biggest shock. As you were pointing out, all of them have good races. We've seen them jump up with big wins. Chilled just seems a little bit overmatched by this group. You almost wonder if she's like a filler in this race here to get you a 5th and to make sure this race goes.
Yeah, it feels like she was probably hustled into this race. She's not really competitive at this level based on form. Is a horse who has run decent races at Keeneland in the past, but this feels like it's asking a bit too much of her.
Scylla, I almost got to her in here, David, because I was really hoping that she was going to have a big year. I played her in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint last year. I liked that cutback for her. She had a tough trip. She was kind of wide. And this year, it's not like she's been bad. She just really hasn't taken the step forward you hoped. And when you're just isolating those races and you look at them, like 3 of her races based on buyer speed figures are not bad. They're almost the same type of races she was running last year. She just, ran into some really nice filly and mares in the top of this division. When you look at Hope Road and Copian and Ways and Means, she caught some of those fillies on their really nice days when they got big victories. I feel like stretching out from the sprint, she's going to get the lead in here. I don't know if she's quite up to task to beat Torpedo Anna, but I think she'll get a good opportunity if they can get her out front. And that's the kind of trip I would like if I was playing her.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things about her recent form, Gino. That filly and mare sprint division, I would say, is a deeper division than the older dirt female route division that Torpedo Anna has been running in. The horses like Ways and Means, Copian, Hope Road, I mean, they have run triple-digit buyer speed figures, which you really can't say about anybody in the route division except for Torpedo Anna. So I think that Scylla is sort of getting subtle class relief in this race. It's a weird thing to say because she's stepping out into a new division. And I feel like I've always had a different opinion about her than just about every other smart handicapper I know. I don't like her as a sprinter. I didn't think she improved when they turned her back in distance. She was looking like a horse that was steadily getting better last year, and they made that decision to turn her back in the ballerina, and she got a grade 1 placing, and they just have stuck with it ever since then, and she's never moved forward. She doesn't have the turn of foot that you need to be effective or kick away from those sprint fields. In a race like this, maybe she'll be on the front end, but I wouldn't be upset to see her rating just in behind the speed. It's kind of interesting that Junior Alvarado, who is Bill Mott's go-to guy, has never ridden her and is getting on her for this race. We'll see if that makes a difference. I think she's intriguing, though.
Yeah, and she feels like she could offer us some value in this small field just because it's been for the last 7 now, right? Coming off that really nice 2024, but when it's been a while since you've been in the winner's circle, you pointed this out before, sometimes you've been burned by a horse like this and then you kind of go in a different direction. I think she could be a really, really interesting player in here. We move to Nitrogen, grade 1 winner, multiple graded stakes winner. She's won 6 of her last 7. And most recently, David, on August the 16th, she's winning the Alabama in her first real dirt start on fast dirt. We saw her on the sloppy track over at Saratoga in a small field, just handle that group. This group, she had to sit second. She was really wide into the turn, so she didn't battle with her stablemate early on, sat about a length behind. She moved to the lead. She's still really green in this race, David, especially late here. This was going 1.25 miles, so she'll get a cutback. I'm a little weary of this race now coming out when you see the horses behind her, and that Good Cheer has not really been in her best form towards the second half of the season. And when you're just looking at speed figures too, they're a little bit light when you compare them to maybe the older fillies and mares or even the filly and mare sprinters, like you were pointing out with Scylla, who's coming out of a division with some strong horses who have a lot of triple digit buyers in the mix. So I think she's got a lot of ability. She can run on any surface as we've seen. This will just be a step up for her and a little bit different than, the last, 6-8 months where she's kind of been beating up on everybody.
As a fan, I would love to see her win this race because I really have become a fan of this horse, and especially the way that Mark Cassidy has campaigned her. And I know you had Mark Cassidy on the Off the Track podcast this summer, and he really had a landmark summer with that, I think that 4,000 victory and winning the Alabama race that he's wanted to win with Nitrogen. And I like that they've taken on the dirt with her and that she was able to conquer it last time in that race. But I tend to agree with you. That was a much weaker field than she'll be lining up against here. And she's got to prove that she could get faster to beat horses like Torpedo Anna and even Scylla. So I'd love to see her do it as the 3-year-old stepping up, but I can't bet her in this race.
And I'll send you the tip for the podcast plug there, David. It's coming in the mail in just a little bit. We move to Jin, next one up, who just kind of got outrun a little bit in the Fleur de Lis. I mean, she had put together 2 pretty good races back to back where she wins the double dog deer. She earns a 96 buyer speed figure. She sits a lot closer than we had seen from her, where she was usually more of a mid pack or off the pace type horse. And then she comes right back into Shawnee with another pretty solid effort behind Royal Spa, who's actually kind of stepped her game up a little bit this year as well. Then that most recent effort, what'd you think about the Fleur de Lis and what do you take out of that?
It was a disappointing performance. Obviously, on paper, it looked like she could maybe be the one that would give Torpedo Anna a scare in that race when Torpedo Anna was coming off a disappointing performance prior to that. It didn't work out. Jin just didn't seem to be that good. Maybe she was just really fresh and ready to run a big race off the layoff in that double dog dare, and she's gone backwards since then. So now they freshened her up once again. We'll see if she can get back to that kind of performance. But even if she does, I don't think she's good enough. I will say, if I had to pick one horse that I thought would probably find herself on the early lead here, it would be Jin because she's run some good races when she's forward, but I still don't see her taking them all the way.
And sometimes you look at jockey intent. You have a rider like Luis Saez jumping aboard, who's very good at getting horses out front. Wouldn't be shocked to see that either with Jin. We round things out with Torpedo Anna, 4-year-old filly. She's raced 5 times this year. David, in her first couple starts of the year, it felt like she was sort of ripe to get beat because she didn't seem like she was having that step forward from her 3-year-old season. If you look at her speed figures, she wasn't even really running some of her better speed figures that she hit last year. And then we actually saw her get defeated in the La Troyenne when she had some legitimate trouble going into the turn. She has bounced back out of that race, though, with a couple nice efforts, like her 2 best efforts of the year back to back. This one, David, you and I have watched a few different times. I think I texted you right after this one and went, oh, no, because we were on the Darth Vader side here. But this is, Torpedo Anna getting the better of the trip, but showing she's just a classy animal who likes to win races. So what do you do with her coming off of the best race of the year and seeming like she's kind of finding her best form again?
Yeah, this is one of two back-to-back 6 beats at Saratoga on Travers Day. But yeah, no, Gino, watching that race back, I think the best thing that you can say about Torpedo Anna as a 4-year-old is that she still wants it, because she had every right to just give up at the 8th pole and lose that race to Dorth Bader, who had gotten a slightly better trip overall than Torpedo Anna did. But you could see in the final 16th, she really dug in and made sure that she got to the wire first. We haven't necessarily seen that trait from Scylla. Nitrogen to a lesser degree, but more so on turf than on dirt. So Torpedo Anna, she's going to be tough to deny in this race, but I do think she's a little vulnerable because she's never gotten back to that form that we saw out of her in the summer for 3-year-old season. Even as good as she was last time, I don't think that performance necessarily makes her invincible in a spot like this, but maybe Ken McPeak does have her back in the good groove towards the end of the season, heading on to the distaff. She's going to be a handful in here, but also likely a much shorter price than 8-5.
As we move to selections, I think you were kind of hitting on it. It just seemed like nobody really in that division wanted to jump up and take the mantle from her, right? Yeah. And I think that was that she was able to keep running the same kind of races and win, because we didn't really have that horse jump up and say, okay, I'm going to be the new face in town. Maybe it will be Nitrogen in here facing older. Maybe it will be Scylla stretching back out, who you have on top and I have in the second spot. I think Scylla's going to run well in here. Talk to us about how you stack them up with selections.
Yeah, I mean, if Torpedo Anna's 8-5 and Scylla's 4-1, I would bet Torpedo Anna in a heartbeat. But I think the price differential is going to be much greater than that, and Scylla's going to drift up to 6, 7, 8-1. And if she is that kind of price, I can take a shot with her, because I do believe that she deserves another chance going longer. I mean, she's the full sister to Tacitus and Batten Down, horses that want to go 1.25 miles. I think she deserves another chance in a race like this and getting away from the sprints.
We've got everything you need for the Keeneland meet over at DRF.com. Best of luck for all of your plays this weekend. 5, 2, 3, 4 for me. I'll put Torpedo Anna on top. David's going to go with Scylla. 2, 5, 3, 4 for David. Whoever you play, however you play them, we wish you the best of luck.